on Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, one person is in critical condition after a fire in Skowhegan left that person severely burned. Plus, we'll also hear from the top official at Northern Light Health as the institution navigates through some treacherous financial waters. And childcare may be a little bit easier for families in the Millinocket area, all thanks to the expansion of an early childhood education center. We'll tell you all about it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Colson. Emma Smith has the day off. We thank you for joining us and hope you had a great time out there celebrating Halloween yesterday. I have certainly been enjoying some of the pictures on social media today of all the trick-or-treaters out there. It was a fun night around. We'll have all the day's news coming up in just a few moments, but first a check of the forecast. And it's kind of a drizzly start to the day today. We've had on again, off again rain here in the Bangor area, and it looks like it's going to be like that for much of the day today. It might get a little more sunny as the day rolls along. Things will be warm too, although things will cool down once we head into the weekend. For more on the forecast, let's start things off with a check-in with Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that has been issued again, and this time it will last until 8 a.m. Saturday. Some active surf along the coast will be expected. But meanwhile, on land, we are watching some active weather that's also passing through. Clouds are moving in. Some rain showers also on the way this morning. And we may get a few more of those as we head towards the afternoon period. Let's zoom things out right now. Here's the rain right about in here. You can even see we have some snow in Canada. We don't have to worry about snow for a little while yet. Just Futurecast showing rain again, maybe some sunshine, a few more showers possible this afternoon, and then a mostly cloudy sky on the way for us later on tonight. As for the winds, they'll be gusty today. Sustained winds reaching up around 10 to 15, maybe a little bit more miles per hour at times, with gusty winds up to 25, even 30 miles per hour before the winds start to back off soon. Still rather breezy as we head towards Saturday morning. So for today, we have lower 70s, partly cloudy, some rain showers, and the southwest wind gusting up to around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour at times. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a partly cloudy sky overall with rain showers possible. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you later on. The State Fire Marshal's Office is now investigating a fire in Skowhegan that severely injured one person. It happened at around 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon at a home located on the Waterville Road. The owner was able to make it out of the house. However, that person did suffer severe burns. The individual was transported to Reddington Fairview General Hospital in Skowhegan and was listed in critical condition at last report. Life Flight helicopter was also expected to transport that victim to another hospital for further treatment. The home was fully involved with flames when the first crews arrived, and they worked well into the night to put it out. The State Fire Marshal's Office was also called to the scene with hopes of determining a cause of that terrible fire in Skowhegan. Meanwhile, residents were able to escape from a burning home in Southwest Harbor early yesterday. Just after 3 o'clock in the morning, crews were called to a fire on Wesley Avenue with reports of people still inside. When the first firefighters entered the house, windows in the upstairs room broke out and flames shot from the building. Firefighters say the flames were knocked down quickly. Crews from multiple towns helped put the fire out. Still no word on a cause this morning. Firefighters say although there was a lot of damage to the house and belongings inside, all of the occupants and their pets were unharmed. A single vehicle rollover crash in Bangor snarled traffic on I-95 Thursday. State police say it happened at mile marker 185 northbound at around 1:20 in the afternoon. They say a pickup truck was hauling an unloaded 2-axle trailer at the time. The driver losing control of the truck, going off the right side of the road where it rolled onto its passenger side. Police say the safety chains were attached to the truck, which helped keep it all together. The driver was not hurt. However, a passenger did sustain non-life-threatening injuries. 4 people have now been arrested in the death of a man who went missing in Bangor. Authorities say that man was murdered. Bangor police announced on Wednesday that the body of 27-year-old Dylan Caruso was found last week in a wooded area of Exeter. He hadn't been seen since late September when he was in Bangor. Authorities haven't said how Caruso was killed, but the medical examiner's office has ruled his death a homicide. As a result of the investigation, police arrested 35-year-old Kenneth Creamer of Exeter and charged him with Caruso's murder. He was arrested Tuesday and is being held at the Penobscot County Jail. 32-year-old Holden Melvin of Charleston was also arrested Wednesday. Bangor police say 31-year-old Dylan Boyce of Exeter and 31-year-old Dylan Belanger of Corinth were also arrested in the case. Melvin, Boyce, and Belanger are all facing charges of hindering apprehension or prosecution. In other news, the district attorney for Kennebec and Somerset counties is now facing allegations that she violated rules of conduct regarding a case that she declined to prosecute. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard has the story.
Megan Maloney, the district attorney for Kennebec and Somerset counties, may be facing disciplinary action after a complaint was made to the board of the overseers of the bar related to a case that Maloney declined to prosecute. Pamela Boyven of Oakfield filed a complaint last year with the Maine Board of Overseers of the bar, claiming that the district attorney, Megan Maloney, improperly reached out to Boyven's friend who worked for the Family Violence Project and offered to share confidential information about a criminal case against Boyven, as well as a separate investigation into a sexual assault Boyven claims happened at a Waterville bar that Maloney declined to prosecute. In Maine, prosecutors aren't allowed to contact defendants directly if they have an attorney. An initial investigation by a committee of the board determined that there is probable cause that Maloney violated rules for professional conduct for attorneys in Maine, and the board's grievance commission should hold a hearing to consider disciplinary action against her. Boyven alleges in her complaints that Maloney hoped to silence Boyven's online criticisms about her alleged sexual assault not being taken seriously. Maloney will now face a hearing before the board, which has not yet been scheduled. We reached out to both parties for an interview, and both declined our request. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bichard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the FBI has issued warnings about multiple types of election-related fraud schemes targeting American voters heading up to Election Day. The Bureau said in the warning that, quote, scammers use the names, images, logos, and slogans of candidates to fraudulently solicit campaign contributions, to sell merchandise, which is never sent to the purchaser, or to steal the victim's personal identifiable information that can be used for other fraud. If you believe you have been a victim of this type of fraud scheme or any other fraud, the FBI says to report that information to the Internet Crime Complaint Center. You can reach that at the website ic3.gov. Again, that is ic3.gov. Earlier this month, 3 Northern Light Health presidents were asked to resign within the span of a week. This follows years of financial struggles at the institution and the closure of several facilities. Well, yesterday, our David Ledford sat down with the provider's chief financial officer to find out why this is happening and what direction the organization is going.
Northern Light Health is one of Maine's biggest healthcare systems, with facilities throughout the state and roughly 10,000 employees. And they're losing millions of dollars each year. Northern Light's 2023 annual report shows a loss of over $36 million. That same report shows nearly $600 million in long-term debt, with the institution on track to lose $100 million this year. And now one credit agency has recently dropped Northern Light's rating.
The most recent data from the Maine Hospital Association shows that 61% of hospitals in the state of Maine are losing money. So I think, it's not a unique issue at Northern Light Health.
Northern Light CFO James Rohrbaugh says this is in part due to nationwide issues like staffing shortages and inflation in the wake of the pandemic. However, he also says part of the problem is that they see low reimbursement from rural healthcare services.
66% of our patients are Medicare or MaineCare. So when we look at the difference between what we're paid for those services and what it costs to deliver those services, annually there's about a $300 million gap.
These financial issues have led to leadership restructuring and the closures of Dexter, Southwest Harbor, and Orono locations. When asked if the organization would continue to experience closures and resignations, Rohrbaugh had this to say.
I think we'll continue to have changes at Northern Light Health as are happening at every single healthcare organization in the entire country right now. I think the changes that we've seen to date have really been focused around how do we reduce administrative costs? They've not been around, affecting the ability of people to get access to health care.
However, he also says they're taking steps to address these issues, and patients have no cause for concern.
Should patients be worried?
Yeah. So I think, if we weren't making the types of changes that we're making, they should be worried. We're all working really hard to figure out how do we make sure we create a sustainable model for the future.
One of those changes will come on January 1st when Northern Light begins a partnership with Compass One. Rohrbaugh says Northern Light will also find ways to deliver services differently. While it's not yet clear what that would look like, Rohrbaugh pointed to their use of telehealth as an option for some patients. He also stressed that the health organization is not looking to sell.
We serve 2/3 of the state of, the upper 2/3 of the state of Maine. I think, we're not in a position where we're looking to sell Northern Light Health. In fact, I think the important thing is to figure out how do we deliver healthcare in a rural setting in a sustainable way.
In Brewer, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, here's some good news. Maine's low-income energy heating assistance program will soon see a major boost in federal funding. $37.5 million will go to LIHEAP, which helps low-income households and older Mainers on fixed incomes afford their energy bills. Senator Susan Collins made the announcement yesterday, saying, quote, with home energy costs remaining high, this federal funding will help to ensure that Mainers have access to affordable heating as we approach the cold winter months. LIHEAP funding provides critical relief to low-income families and older Mainers, helping them stay warm without the constant worry of choosing between heating their homes and covering basic necessities. That'll be good news for a lot of families. Well, the time now is 8:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, according to the University of Maine system, not only are enrollment numbers outpacing the national average, they are also on the rise here in Maine. But first, another check of that weather forecast. A partly cloudy day ahead today with a chance of rain showers, highs around 72 degrees. Mostly cloudy tonight with lows dropping down to the mid-30s. Tomorrow for Saturday, a partly cloudy day with highs near 48. We'll be right back.
At the end of this long campaign, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. One is that in spite of the partisanship, progress is possible. The second is there's plenty left to do. Here's some progress. Negotiating lower drug prices, historic new programs for veterans, and bringing manufacturing back to America. But reproductive rights, housing, the high cost of living, and fighting for democracy are still on the agenda. I'm Angus King, and I approve this message because with your help, I'm ready to get back after it.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Opa, a Greek Mediterranean dining experience like no other, serving the finest Greek dishes in central Maine. Let executive chef Gage Derbyshire prepare your food while you enjoy a drink. Opa, it's all Greek to me.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
As a working mom with 2 little kids, it's hard when Jared leaves every week to go to Washington.
But my daddy likes to help you.
That's why he joined the Marines after 9/11. Jared will keep us safe. He knows what matters to Maine families.
He wants to put more money in your piggy bank.
He's protecting Maine jobs and lowering healthcare costs for seniors and families.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message because the things that matter most to your family matter most to our family too.
The Maine Black Bears football team is headed to Norman, Oklahoma, where they'll take on SEC opponent, the Oklahoma Sooners. We're bringing you exclusive all-access coverage only on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Critics are calling Murder in a Small Town an all-inclusive crowd pleaser. November 12th, it's all new.
He's a sociopath.
How exactly do you know this?
I diagnosed him.
Dispatch, officer down. Repeat, officer down.
A lot of people think it's one of the best times of year up here in Maine. That includes deer hunters who are getting ready to head into the woods. Our Alex Schley joins us live outdoors with everything we need to know to stay safe this hunting season. Good morning, Alex. Still raining out there, it looks like.
Yeah, it's just starting to let up. But that's right. Come tomorrow, firearm deer hunting season opens for residents here in Maine. For everyone else, they'll have to wait until Monday when everyone else with a hunting license is then able to join in on some of the fun. Game wardens say that they expect a record-breaking year both in the number of licenses issued and deers caught. Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Communications Director Mark Laddie says, with all the additional activity, it's more important than ever to take proper precautions.
In the past 5 years, we've only had one fatality involving a non-hunter. That's one too many, but you know, the reality is that it's more dangerous to cross the street than it is to go into the woods during Maine's hunting season.
Like Mark just noted, it's important to wear your orange, whether you're going hunting or whether you're just going out enjoying nature. Something like that can save your life. In Bangor, I'm Alex Schley for Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Alex, it is important for everybody. The hunters, I believe, are required to wear 2 articles of blaze orange when they're heading out there. But everybody this time of year, in fact, if you're just moving to Maine, you should know this. Wear your blaze orange out there, maybe a hat or a coat or something like that. That'll just make sure that the hunters will see you and not think that you're a deer or something like that. Should also let people know when you're heading out, so in case you get lost, somebody can come and find you. You can find some more information about the laws and other things you need to know about deer hunting season on the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife website. All right, moving on to other news now. Maine's public universities are outpacing regional and national enrollment trends, despite the state having one of the oldest populations in the country. Data released yesterday shows increased undergraduate, graduate, and law school enrollment. According to a statement from the University of Maine system, there are more than 25,200 students enrolled this fall. That's an increase of more than 3% compared to last year. 40% of them are 25 years old or older. Those figures do not include nearly 5,300 Maine high school students earning free early college credit through UMS, or for those participating in non-credit educational programs. Chancellor Daniel Malloy said, quote, "I am proud of the collective efforts across our system to ensure the state's most proven path to mobility is accessible, affordable, and relevant for all learners." Well, assessing child care is one of the most pressing needs for many of Maine's working families, but that's going to get a little easier for parents up in the Millinocket area. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held yesterday to celebrate the grand opening of the expanded Early Childhood Education Center at the Katahdin Higher Education Center. A $4 million federal grant allowed Eastern Maine Community College to double its child care capacity at the facility to around 50 children. The expansion included a kitchen, 2 state-of-the-art classrooms, and 2 playgrounds. Eastern Maine Community College officials say the expansion is expected to enhance economic stability in the region by providing child care for local parents and also increasing the workforce at the same time. Certainly great news there. All right, the time now, 8:18. Coming up after the break, the city of Bangor will soon be holding a series of meetings to get feedback on improvements to be made in the area. We'll let you know when and where you can add your voice to that discussion as Good Morning Maine continues.
Jared Golden says,
"I'm not voting for Donald Trump."
That's because Golden supports Kamala's agenda. Golden voted for their $1 trillion spending spree and against funding Trump's wall.
"I'm not voting for Donald Trump."
Golden's for Kamala's policies instead. Aroostook County native, Austin Terrio, endorsed by Trump. He'll support Trump's policies, secure the border, and fix our economy. The choice is clear.
I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
Alice loves the scent of Gain so much, she wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice. And long-lasting Gain scent beads, part of the irresistible scent collection from Gain.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7, broadcasting loud and clear on our new tower. 50,000 watts of smooth rock and roll with Paul and Sonny in the morning and Mike Dow in the afternoon. Star 97.7.
Things are messed up in Maine. The state's broke, light bills are skyrocketing, housing costs are through the roof. I'm Trey Stewart. Here are the facts. Democrats completely control Augusta. They could solve these problems today. Instead, they're focused on how big your campfire can be and banning coyote hunting. You know we can do better. It's time to vote them out.
Paid for by Maine Senate Republicans, Augusta, Maine. Top fundraiser of Maine Senate Republicans is RSLC.
Does your dream kitchen look like this? Or this? Or maybe you need a little more inspiration. Get it when you explore the complete in-store showroom displays at Hammond Lumber Company. When you find the look you like, the Hammond team will help you customize it, including accurate 3D renderings, so you can visualize your project before the work begins. Hammond offers delivery from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire and professional service after the sale. Your dream kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Starting next month, the City of Bangor's Planning and Community Development Committee will be hosting a series of meetings to hear public feedback on how they'd like to see their respective neighborhoods improved. Our Doug Banks spoke with the city's planning officer to learn more.
The City of Bangor wants to hear from its residents. Between November 7th and December 10th, the city's Planning and Community Development Committees will host 7 neighborhood community meetings across Bangor to help elicit feedback on how the people of Bangor envision the future of where they live.
We're going to have stations basically for each different initiative that we're doing, and we'll have maps where people can draw on a corridor nearby like State Street or Broadway, talk about what they want to see on that corridor. For like complete streets, we would have a map where people can, put down streetscape improvements they would want to see on that corridor.
City officials are looking to update the city's land use code.
The land use code update takes that and revises the zoning to match those land uses and makes very specific changes that align with the more general recommendations from the comprehensive plan.
According to Colette, public input helps influence how land will be developed moving forward.
Public engagement is crucial, for any kind of local government, and it's also critical that when we rewrite our land use code that it's reflecting what the people want to see.
Information about the upcoming meetings can be found on our website. In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, the time now is 8:22, and speaking of the time, don't forget to set your clocks back this weekend. You're supposed to do it at like 2 a.m. Sunday morning. I might do mine the night before. It's also a good reminder to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. It's a great time of year to do that, though they don't cost very much, and they can mean the difference between life and death. So go out and get yourself some new batteries for your smoke detectors. We're going to turn our attention now to the weekend forecast. Here's Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Already, small crowd advisory now issued until 8 a.m. Saturday. Active surf along the coast will be possible. And with that, let's check in on the wave heights right now. It's active in some spots where the buoys are showing up at around 3 feet, not looking too bad, but right about in here, a little bit active surf also being indicated, and that may increase a little bit more with the system that's currently passing through, so that's why they have issued this small craft advisory. Because on land, we have clouds moving in, even some rain showers developing this morning. The northern parts of the state saw some last night, and the rest of us will have an opportunity to see a few rain showers today, but overall, a mixture of clouds and sunshine will be the common idea. Let's zoom things out and give you the bigger picture. Here's a front right about in here, tracking off towards the east, bringing the rain with it too, and cooler temperatures on the way. Today's our last warm day before we start to cool off. Notice even some snow in Canada, so you can see we definitely have some cooler air in those areas. Futurecast moving forward for us, rain showers today, some sunshine peeking out too, a few more rain showers this afternoon, then a mostly cloudy sky expected overnight. Once we head towards Saturday, the clouds will eventually get out of here. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky for the rest of the day, not looking too bad. Once we head towards Saturday night, maybe a few passing clouds, but even as we head towards your Sunday, we're looking pretty good overall. As for any additional rainfall, maybe 1/10 of an inch of additional rainfall before we're all finished up. It's not a lot. We could use a lot more, but at this point, any rainfall would definitely be beneficial. Here's a new drought monitor that came out yesterday. Still showing moderate drought across a good part of our viewing area, but the rest of the U.S. definitely seeing a lot of drought right now too, with moderate to severe drought developing. So again, we need rainfall, and unfortunately not a whole lot on the way, at least anytime soon. Average high temperature is 52 degrees. We'll do lower 70s today, then 40s Saturday, Sunday, also into Monday. We have 50s and 70s again Tuesday, Wednesday, and also into your Thursday. And then a quick reminder, Sunday morning, don't forget we fall back as 2 a.m. becomes 1 a.m. We switch back to standard time, so please remember to switch your clocks back Saturday night or early Sunday morning before going to bed or so. Your forecast for today, we have lower 70s, partly cloudy, some rain showers on the way, and that southwest wind getting up to around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour at times. All right, mostly cloudy tonight with lows in the mid-30s, and that north wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, here we go, upper 40s, partly cloudy, and that north breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Mostly sunny on Sunday with highs in the upper 40s, mostly cloudy Monday with highs in the mid-40s, and then upper 50s on Election Day with a chance for rain showers.
Jared Golden says,
I'm not voting for Donald Trump.
That's because Golden supports Kamala's agenda. Golden voted for their trillion-dollar spending spree and against funding Trump's wall.
I'm not voting for Donald Trump.
Golden's for Kamala's policies instead. Aroostook County native, Austin Terrio, endorsed by Trump. He'll support Trump's policies, secure the border, and fix our economy. The choice is clear.
I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
AMHG Works LLC, American-made home goods, located at the Rennie's Plaza in Bangor. Come check us out. We're open 7 days a week, featuring artisans, crafters, and manufacturers from across the United States, where everything is meticulously designed with care and pride. We also have a wide selection of pet accessories and treats. Let us be your new favorite store. We look forward to seeing you.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
I think Austin Terrio can be very dangerous.
He most definitely would join the extremists in Congress.
Austin Terrio is on the same side as the extremists who want to have a national abortion ban. The extremists that don't allow women to have choice.
And these extremists, they're going to try to control women.
It's wrong.
I think you're going to see women die.
I just don't want that for my grandchildren.
Austin Terrio, he's not going to stand up for my rights in Congress.
Welcome back, everyone. The U.S. military has released an investigation into how a fighter jet worth an estimated $100 million was lost in the skies over South Carolina before crashing without the pilot on board. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the latest.
This morning, military officials are blaming the highly unusual crash of an F-35, which was left flying unmanned over South Carolina, on pilot error. The investigation finding the pilot made a, quote, inappropriate decision to eject from the $100 million jet last September, saying the pilot incorrectly diagnosed an out-of-control flight emergency.
I guess we got a pilot at our house, and he says he got ejected. So he ejected from the plane. So we just see if we could get some ambulance, please.
That homeowner called 911 after the pilot parachuted into his backyard in North Charleston. The pilot also calling in the emergency.
We have a military jet crash. I'm the pilot. We need to get rescue rolling. I'm not sure where the airplane is. It would have crash landed somewhere. I ejected.
Investigators say he'd been flying in heavy rain when his helmet display stopped working. He prepared for a landing but missed the approach, and after losing communication with the control tower, he ejected.
Has there been a report of an airplane crash?
I have not seen any.
The plane, equipped with stealth technology, wasn't found until 1 day later, more than 60 miles away. It had flown unmanned over South Carolina for more than 11 minutes before crashing into some woods. There were no injuries on the ground, but the crash caused property damage to private, forested land and crops. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And investigators recommended no punishment for the pilot, but earlier this year, he did lose command of a Marine squadron. In other news, 4 days to go until Election Day. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump focusing on the Midwest today after several events in the battleground states in the West. Trump says Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will oversee women's health if he wins. Harris responded with one word: no. ABC's Perry Russum has more.
With 4 days left until Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump working late into the night, trying to mobilize voters in the West. Harris slamming Trump in Las Vegas, Nevada.
This is someone who is increasingly unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance.
Trump in Glendale, Arizona, at an event billed as a hurricane relief benefit, going after former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who endorsed Harris. Trump using violent rhetoric as he called Cheney a war hawk.
Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington.
Trump earlier in Henderson, Nevada, saying Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic, will oversee women's health if he wins.
He's going to work on health and women's health and all of the different reasons, because we're not really a wealthy or a healthy country.
Harris responding on X, writing, no. Harris at a rally in Reno, Nevada, reacting to Trump saying he will protect women whether they like it or not.
This is someone who simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to make decisions about their own lives.
Trump on the attack, pouncing on this comment made by billionaire Mark Cuban on The View.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them.
Trump posting, he is very wrong. I surround myself with the strongest of women with the understanding that all women are great, whether strong or not strong. More than 62 million Americans have already voted. Across the country, data shows women outpacing men in early voting, 54 to 44%. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Well, there's a fight brewing over the custody of a squirrel this morning, and it's a battle that's pitting one man against the state of New York. ABC's Andrew Dimbert also has that story.
Peanut butter squirrel. A social media star has been seized by authorities in upstate New York, and his fans are going nuts.
To take Peanut away from my family is not only, heart-wrenching, but then you take it away from the organization that solely gets its funding from social media that requires Peanut to get that funding.
Mark Longo says officers raided his home, taking his pet squirrel, Peanut, and his raccoon, Fred. Longo runs a sanctuary housing horses, goats, and alpacas, and says he relies on these social media videos to raise money, but it's against New York law to own a wild animal without a license. The Department of Environmental Conservation says it received multiple reports about the potentially unsafe housing of wildlife that could carry rabies.
My next step is to be contacted. DEC, the state, nobody has reached out to me to say anything. I don't know if Peanut is alive or they euthanized him.
Longo says he rescued Peanut 7 years ago after its mother got hit by a car, and says Peanut came back after being released. The DEC made headlines in a similar case this year when it seized this alligator from a home in western New York. It had lived there for 34 years, its entire life, but the owner's state license had expired and officials worried kids were being allowed to swim near it. Back at Longo's animal sanctuary, he questions whether all this was even necessary.
I know the laws are the laws and the rules are the rules, but the fact of the matter is they brought 8 officers here who ransacked my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Well, more than 20,000 people have now signed a petition urging authorities to return Peanut to Longo. We hope that happens too. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a mural that was 3 years in the making has finally been unveiled on Main Street in Lincoln. We'll give you a look as Good Morning Maine continues.
Did you know there's a detergent that gets your dishes up to 100% clean, even in an older dishwasher? Try Cascade Platinum Plus for sparkling clean dishes, even on the toughest jobs. Just scrape, load, and you're done. Switch to Cascade Platinum Plus.
My husband was in a very serious accident and needed back surgery. We called the twos, and Lowry and Associates got him $450,000.
Call us. We win for you.
Call 222-2222.
Are you ready? This is the big one. The 2024 Christmas Craft Fair at the Bangor Mall. Saturdays and Sundays, November 9th, 10th, 16th, and 17th. Free admission and free Dunkin' coffee. Over 350 local vendors with new vendors each weekend. Get your free pictures taken with Santa. 4 $1,000 cash door prizes. Don't miss the 2024 Christmas Craft Fair. Saturdays and Sundays, November 9th, 10th, 16th, and 17th at the Bangor Mall.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, today is Friday, November 1st, 2024, and it's also Deck the Everything Day. If you're the type of person who can't wait to decorate for the holidays, this day is for you. It gives you the green light to dig out all those shiny ornaments to help jumpstart the season of joy. According to one poll of holiday decorators, 56% feel that decorating before Thanksgiving comes with some type of a judgment. But don't worry about it. This holiday allows you to let your festive side shine. So go ahead and deck the halls. I bet a lot of people will be doing that this weekend. All right, time for history. On this day in history, way back in 1512, the Sistine Chapel opened up to the public for the first time. Considered one of Italian artist Michelangelo's finest works, he was called to Rome in 1508 to paint the ceiling of the chapel, which is the chief consecrated space of the Vatican. Michelangelo was celebrated as Europe's greatest living artist during his lifetime and is now still considered to be one of the greatest artists of all time. In 1800, President John Adams moved into the newly constructed President's House on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. That's what it was called at the time. He had been living temporarily at a hotel near the half-finished Capitol building until the White House was finally completed. In 1946, the New York Knickerbockers beat the Toronto Huskies in the first NBA game ever. The Knickerbockers, of course, are now known as the Knicks. In 1952, the U.S. detonated the world's first thermonuclear weapon, the hydrogen bomb. That test gave America a short-lived advantage in the nuclear arms race with the Soviet Union. In 1959, Montreal's Jacques Plante became the very first professional hockey player to wear a face mask. In 1991, Clarence Thomas took his place as the newest justice on the Supreme Court. And finally, in 1995, Bosnia peace talks opened up in Dayton, Ohio, with leaders of Bosnia, Serbia, and Croatia present. For birthdays today, they include musician Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who is 62, actress Toni Collette turns 52, and drummer Rick Allen from the group Def Leppard is 61 years old today. So happy birthday to all of them. Kind of a soggy start to the day today. We may see a little more rain as the day rolls along, but we should see some breaks of sunshine too. For more on that, let's turn things over to Devin.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that has been issued again, and this time it will last until 8 a.m. Saturday. Some active surf along the coast will be expected. But meanwhile, on land, we are watching some active weather that's also passing through. Clouds are moving in. Some rain showers also on the way this morning. And we may get a few more of those as we head towards the afternoon period. Let's zoom things out right now. Here's the rain right about in here. You can even see we have some snow in Canada. We don't have to worry about snow for a little while yet. Just a futurecast showing rain again, maybe some sunshine, a few more showers possible this afternoon, and then a mostly cloudy sky on the way for us later on tonight. As for the winds, they'll be gusty today. Sustained winds reaching up around 10 to 15, maybe a little bit more miles per hour at times, with gusty winds up to 25, even 30 miles per hour before the winds start to back off soon. Still rather breezy as we head towards Saturday morning. So for today, we have lower 70s, partly cloudy, some rain showers, and the southwest wind gusting up to around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour at times. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a partly cloudy sky overall with rain showers possible. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, the town of Lincoln just got even more beautiful as they unveiled a brand new mural along Main Street yesterday. Our Grace Blanchard gives us a close-up look.
After 3 years, the final touches have been made on the town of Lincoln's brand new mural.
I have been driving by this mural for years as it's being created, and I'm always amazed at the talent that Jeremiah has.
The artist, Jeremiah Smith, worked alongside his wife and daughter to create a landscape that captured the history and culture of the community.
It just goes from one end to the other of the history of Lincoln.
He was inspired during the pandemic to take on a big project that would add more color to the town during dark times.
My purpose in life is to communicate to the world visually in order to hopefully help others overcome barriers in front of them.
Smith and his wife own a floral and art studio right in town. He says the project took longer as they juggled economic, health, and weather challenges.
It took a little bit longer. That just meant more great days to paint and meet more people.
He says it was all worth it to see the reactions from the community.
It's just amazing to be able to come down the street and see what's here and the amazing job he has done.
It's a great addition to the town, and I hope that lots of people drive down this street and see it because it's awesome.
Smith says they plan to sell merchandise at their studio to raise funds for preservation efforts and a memorial garden they hope to build next to it for a lasting impact.
I really hope it uplifts everybody. It brings a little more peace to their day and makes them smile.
In Lincoln, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Very nice, did a great job. Well, still to come this morning, Tyler Cruz with all the day's sports news. Don't go away.
I drive more running for Congress than I used to. I've been all around the state. You meet a lot of great people. They talk a lot about higher costs, skyrocketing electric bills, and rising inflation. And heating oil tanks need to be filled soon. People are struggling. We need to lower inflation and the cost of fuel and bring balance to Washington. I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
People over politics. Austin Terrio for Congress.
Ye Olde General, located in Carmel, has everything you could ever need. Whether it be kerosene, regular or ethanol-free gasoline, wood pellets, a fresh-cooked pizza, or fried food, they've got you covered. Looking to get a stiff drink after work? Ye Olde General is an agency liquor store with a great selection of alcohol. Ye Olde General can help with your next home project, carrying carpentry supplies from hammers and nails to specialty nuts and bolts. They have what you need to get the job done. Stop by Ye Olde General today. If you don't think they'll have it, they probably do.
Nothing feels as good as driving a new Hyundai. And now you can get a great deal on your favorite model at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Plus, every Hyundai is backed by America's Best Warranty. Hurry to the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event before this offer ends. Make your next getaway your best one yet. Drive away now in one of our most popular models with 0% APR and 0 payments for 90 days. Only during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
I'm a registered nurse. I work in labor and delivery, women's healthcare. There are a million ways a pregnancy can go wrong. Austin Terrio said that overturning Roe v. Wade was the right thing to do. Terrio wants to let politicians ban all abortions, even in Maine, with no exceptions for rape, incest, or to save a woman's life. Terrio says that's the right approach. And that's why we have to say no to Austin Terrio.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Ohio State takes on Penn State. It's Big Noon Saturday on Fox.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Hope you all had a happy Halloween. It's been a spooky offseason for Maine women's basketball, losing Ann Simon to graduation and Adriana Smith to injury. But the program shared some great news regarding Smith on Thursday morning. The 2023 America East Player of the Year announcing she will return to Orono next season for her final year of eligibility. Smith suffered a season-ending knee injury earlier in the preseason and wasn't sure what the next step in her basketball journey would look like. Thankfully for Black Bear fans, she decided to stay in Orono for that final year.
Like, my next goals after Maine are playing overseas, and I just think here I have the best staff around me and the best people, and I know exactly what I'm going to get, and I feel confident coming back here and having that support around me because I know what it's like coming back from this injury, and it's not easy, and you want as much support as you can get, and I just love it here. I mean, I can't imagine leaving if I have the chance to stay one more year.
Certainly some good news. As for this season, head coach Amy Vachon says her team will have to replace those 40 points and 20 rebounds per game with the loss of both Simon and Smith. But they've had time to prepare all offseason. The Black Bears will get their first opportunity to show that on Monday as they play host to LaSalle. They're excited to open the season right here in the Pit.
I mean, everyone's excited, first game, so I think it's nice to be able to finally have that feeling back again, and then after like a long month and a half practice.
My 3 years of being here, this is the first time we've had a home game for our non-conference. And like I said, it's our kids' game, so 800 screaming kids, and it's going to be really fun. It's a packed house, so we're looking forward to it.
Definitely looking forward to that. That game tips off at 11 a.m. And like we said, field trip day should be a fun crowd of kids. We'll stay there in the Pit where Maine men's basketball is preparing to travel down to Durham, North Carolina for their home opener against the Duke Blue Devils. Maine was ranked 4th in the preseason America East poll, and they're looking to build off of some momentum from last year. They will start with a real challenge, though. Duke is ranked 7th in the AP Top 25, and of course, they'll be taking on the top recruit in the nation and Maine's very own Cooper Flagg, whose brother Ace just committed to the Black Bears. Head coach and fellow Mainer Chris Markwood is ready for the entire Maine basketball community to have their moment on Monday evening.
For a Maine kid, myself, who played basketball in the state, you know, you're really in awe of what he's doing. And I just feel blessed that as a state we can kind of be a part of it and follow him. And as a family, Cooper and his family, they just handle it in just the right way. And I think with Maine going down and Kelly, her alma mater, it's just a unique situation that I think our whole state can really be excited about and cheer for both sides, you know, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun indeed. Flag isn't the only reason that game down in North Carolina will be fun. For the players, they're getting their chance to play at a legendary venue like Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's a rare opportunity, and they are all eager to play in front of those famous Cameron Crazies.
For sure, it's definitely going to be a crazy environment. You know, we've tried to replicate in here, but, you know, once you get under those lights and that gym, you know, it's so legendary, you know. It's kind of hard to replicate it anywhere, so, you know, it's going to be a different type of moment, but I think we're all excited for it.
Not too many people get to play in Cameron Indoor, you know, outside the ACC, so, you know, it's a great opportunity. Obviously, they're a great team, you know, nationally ranked, so it'll be a good test for us first game of the season to see where we're at.
Moving on to the soccer pitch now. Maine women's soccer closing out the season with a chance to clinch the top overall seed in the America East tourney. The Black Bears unbeaten in conference, looking to dance to a regular season title. First half is when we pick it up, no score. That ball is bouncing around in the main zone. Abby Myers gets it and rips a shot, but Jessica Kasich there for the diving save in net. Maine now still scoreless. Abby Kramer sends a beautiful ball down to Christina Kelly, and she gets tripped up from behind in the box. That is a penalty kick. Abby Kramer taking it. She knows what to do. Buries it in the low corner. That's the only goal of the game, and that would lead Maine to their very first America East regular season title, and that conference crown runs through Orono. Congratulations to them. Let's finish out with the University of Maine 2 over at the Field Hockey Complex. Maine Field Hockey has one last home game. It's Friday afternoon, and it's a big one. The Black Bears will host New Hampshire for their senior day. Head coach Josette Babineau says the senior class has really meant a ton to the program over the years. But not only will it be an emotional game because of that, it's also a big one in terms of the playoffs. Maine has their spot clinched in the America East tournament, but a win could give them the 3 seed, and a loss and they could finish 6th. But they are confident if they stick to their guns, they can finish strong and carry that momentum.
Just psychologically, I think it's important to go into the playoff tournament with some success as well ahead of time. But we just have to continue with the things that we worked on this last week. See, our practices have become, I would say, a little bit more focused in terms of, making everything a little bit sharper.
I think it's just going to be, again, believing in ourselves, trusting our training. We've been together since August, and it's just putting it all together on that weekend, get it done.
All right, that starts at 3 p.m. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back.
Maine is built on strength and independence, but lately, our future feels uncertain. I'm an Army veteran, a mother, a doctor, so I know what it means to fight for my family, my neighbors, and my state. I'm running for Senate because Maine deserves better. It's time for real leadership, someone who will work to lower costs, secure our borders, and protect our way of life. My name is Demi Kazunas, and I approve this message because I am running to stand up for you.
We are explorers, hard workers,
the jack of all trades. We are Mainers. Maine Quit Link provides free nicotine quit medication, including gum, patches, and lozenges. No insurance needed, no copay, and no cost to Mainers. Because quitting tobacco with a little extra help is more successful than quitting on your own. Quit like a Mainer. Enroll online at MaineQuitLink.com or call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Can a body wash transform your chest, arms, legs? It's Olay Body Wash with skincare ingredients and 10 times more vitamin B3 complex. So in 14 days, see visibly better skin. Olay Body Wash. Discover yours.
Jordan's sore nose let out a fiery sneeze, so Dad grabbed Puffs Plus lotion to soothe her with ease. Puffs Plus lotion is gentle on sensitive skin and locks in moisture to provide soothing relief. A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed. America's #1 lotion tissue.
For 50 years, I've paid into Social Security and Medicare.
You earned it. You paid it in every week.
Austin Terrio skipped work in the State House.
But he still took his paycheck from taxpayers.
Now, Austin Terrio wants to go to Congress, joining politicians who would
cut the Social Security and Medicare benefits that we earned.
Which is kind of scary.
Is going to hurt a lot of people in Maine. I think it's criminal.
Highway robbery.
No show, Terrio.
Will never work for Maine.
HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back, everyone. Armie Hammer saddles up for a Western, Jack Ryan heads to the big screen, and more. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has more in the latest edition of Hollywood Nation.
Something's not right. I think it's the words.
Hilton and Richie tease, Jack Ryan gets a new adventure, and Hammer makes a comeback in the Hollywood Nation. Armie Hammer is heading back to the big screen. The actor announced on social media he's returning to acting in the upcoming Western Frontier Crucible. The film marks his first project since the physical and sexual abuse allegations made against him in 2021.
It terrifies me.
John Krasinski is bringing his Jack Ryan TV character to theaters. Amazon MGM Studios is expanding the Tom Clancy franchise by developing a movie with Krasinski returning as the popular CIA analyst from the hit adventure series. Wendell Pierce and Michael Kelly, who also starred in the show, will reprise their roles.
If I win, having one leg won't be the most important thing about me.
Today's First Looks features Jarrell Jerome and Jennifer Lopez starring in the sports biopic Unstoppable. The film tells the real-life story of wrestler Anthony Robles, an athlete born with one leg who becomes an NCAA wrestling champion while competing at Arizona State University. It opens in select theaters December 6th, followed by its streaming debut on Prime Video January 16th.
Hi, can you try it again, please?
Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie reunite for Paris and Nicole The Encore. Peacock released the teaser trailer for the 3-part special, picking up 17 years after the reality TV series The Simple Life ended. It follows the best friends trying to produce a once-in-a-lifetime operatic performance based on their self-coined phrase, Sanasa. The show premieres Thursday, December 12th. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
And for a final look at that forecast, let's turn things back over to Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Irish Collision Center offers expert repairs with a 3D frame measuring system, aluminum repair equipment. Our recent expansion boosts capacity, faster service. We're dedicated to quality every time. Visit us today. Already, small crowd advisory now issued until 8 a.m. Saturday. Active surf along the coast will be possible. And with that, let's check in on the wave heights right now. It's active in some spots where the buoys are showing up at around 3 feet, not looking too bad, but right about in here, a little bit active surf also being indicated, and that may increase a little bit more with the system that's currently passing through, so that's why they have issued this small crab advisory. Because on land, we have clouds moving in, even some rain showers developing this morning. The northern parts of the state saw some last night, and the rest of us will have an opportunity to see a few rain showers today, but overall, a mixture of clouds and sunshine will be the common idea. Let's zoom things out and give you the bigger picture. Here's a front right about in here, tracking off towards the east bringing the rain with it too, and cooler temperatures on the way. Today is our last warm day before we start to cool off. Notice even some snow in Canada, so you can see we definitely have some cooler air in those areas. Futurecast moving forward for us, rain showers today, some sunshine peeking out too, a few more rain showers this afternoon, then a mostly cloudy sky expected overnight. Once we head towards Saturday, the clouds will eventually get out of here. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky for the rest of the day, not looking too bad. Once we head towards Saturday night, maybe a few passing clouds, but even as we head towards your Sunday, we're looking pretty good overall. As for any additional rainfall, maybe a 1/10 of an inch of additional rainfall before we're all finished up. It's not a lot. We could use a lot more, but at this point, any rainfall would definitely be beneficial. Here's a new drought monitor that came out yesterday. Still showing moderate drought across a good part of our viewing area, but the rest of the U.S. definitely seeing a lot of drought right now too, with moderate to severe drought developing. So again, we need rainfall. Unfortunately, not a whole lot on the way, at least anytime soon. Average high temperature is 52 degrees. We'll do lower 70s today, then 40s Saturday, Sunday, also into Monday. We have 50s and 70s again Tuesday, Wednesday, and also into your Thursday. And then a quick reminder, Sunday morning, don't forget we fall back as 2 a.m. becomes 1 a.m. We switch back to standard time, so please remember to switch your clocks back Saturday night or early Sunday morning before going to bed or so. Your forecast for today, we have lower 70s, partly cloudy, some rain showers on the way, and that southwest wind getting up to around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour at times. All right, mostly cloudy tonight with lows in the mid-30s, and that north wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, here we go, upper 40s, partly cloudy, and that north breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Irish Collision Center. Mostly sunny on Sunday with highs in the upper 40s, mostly cloudy Monday with highs in the mid-40s, and then upper 50s on Election Day with a chance for rain showers.
Did you know there's a detergent that gets your dishes up to 100% clean, even in an older dishwasher? Try Cascade Platinum Plus for sparkling clean dishes, even on the toughest jobs. Just scrape, load, and you're done. Switch to Cascade Platinum Plus.
Did you know that 50% of the air you breathe in your home is air that comes from Hafford Basement Systems? All things basementy. A wet, damp basement is a real problem. It can damage your valuables, worsen asthma and allergies, and affect indoor air quality. We'll transform your basement into a dry, usable space and improve the health of your entire home. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basementy.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. The effect on your life can be devastating.
I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I needed a lawyer who fights for bikers' rights.
Motorcycle law is complicated, and you'll need somebody who knows motorcycle law. A name the insurance companies know all too well.
A lawyer with the power to get you more.
They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Right now.
Tell them you mean business.
Hell, I'd like to kick back.
Skip work, just like no show.
No show Austin Terrio.
But I can't, because when Terrio did show up, he voted against lowering my prescription costs.
Now Terrio's running for Congress, bankrolled by the Project 2025 crowd, whose plan lets drug makers charge whatever they want.
And threatens to privatize Medicare.
Shows me all I need to know about Terrio. HMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Future-proof your home and garden with AARP today. Harvest the rewards for years to come. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP.
In a small gallery in Cotonou, Benin, that's a country in Western Africa, metal sculptures from an internationally renowned artist adorn the walls, telling stories of construction and balance through recycled materials. These are the creations of Charlie de Almeida, a metal sculptor who has been transforming scrap into art for the past 15 years. He's 56 years old and is a key figure in a generation of artists who have shaped contemporary art in Benin. His work, deeply influenced by African culture and voodoo traditions, is regularly exhibited across Europe, Africa, and the United States. Very interesting work. And finally, more than 300 pumpkin lovers in northern Belgium on Sunday grabbed the opportunity to paddle the giant hollowed-out fruits over a pond in the town of Casterly, marking the height of the pumpkin season with the traditional annual race. The race started in 2008 after local growers decided they needed to find a different use for their 400-plus kilogram, that's 880 pounds, pumpkins, besides turning them into soup. The local Pumpkin Society and the Casterly Kayaking Club collaborated to organize that special regatta. They also hold a pumpkin contest, which this year produced the European champion at a weight of 1,160 kilograms. That's more than 2,500 pounds. Take a look at them paddling along in their big old pumpkins. Looks like a lot of fun, too. We do a similar thing down on the coast of Maine every year. I think it's down in the Wiscasset area, where some folks actually put boat engines on the back of their pumpkins. Got to have fun somehow. Well, that's it for now, folks. We thank you so much for joining us. I'm Craig Colson, and for everyone here at ABC 7 and Fox 22, we hope you have a great day and a wonderful weekend.
Today on 25 Words or Less. Last time he was here, I pushed him to his limit, which he assures me is the title of some song he did or something. It's Corbin Blue! And joining Corbin are married couple, Brock and Laura. He makes a frankly staggering amount of money from stand-up, but we're always glad to have him whenever he needs to qualify for his SAG health insurance. It's Orlando Jones!